this is going to be if you really fall and get involved in this, don't think, I'm just telling you, don't think for 1 minute that this is going to take focus away from.
Oh yeah.
It's going to, and I would warn you, man, because the music bug, I don't know that you have it, but I was bitten by it, and I know many people who are, and if you've got it, it's like an addiction in a way. It's hard to kick.
Over the last couple of weeks, I really like it. It's been, but again, I like to think I'm in moderation, fairly disciplined. It's like, all right, I realize this is taking away from iVue.
It will.
Fucking cut it off. All right, put it up. I'm pretty damn good about compartmentalizing. Obviously, not perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
You're trying to get a company off the ground, and you've been at it for a while, and you guys you've accomplished some pretty massive things,
but still not a big household name brand. Like I'm working to build iVue into.
To sit around 10 years ago, and as we're sitting around drinking beers, and you have this idea of a drone company. Here we are
now. Not quite 10 years.
Well,
but
that's a round figure. Here we are 8 years later or whenever, and you've got clients, you have drones that you've built, you bring them in.
Like in the numbers, that's not that it's all about the numbers, but we've generated over $500,000 of revenue, like obviously very small in terms of building a company, but it's again, could we be making more money just by like prioritizing short-term revenue that's not going to help us build a larger scalable technology company? Absolutely, but that's going to be at the expense of building a larger company in the long term. Like you don't build maybe Nintendo's not the best example because they actually did start selling like playing cards, and then they got into video games. They're like, oh, this is some new market. Kids are gonna love this. But there is something to be said that how you make $1 million isn't how you make $100 million, right? And like, of course, you got to make your first million on your way to your first 100 million. But there's especially around
the first million's the hardest to make too.
And I hear even now it's like really if you can get 100,000, if you keep with it, you'll be all right, because. Again, for most people, like this whole entrepreneurship, they'll be in it for years and years, but then never have sold anything. And to me, it was like I started selling, right? I didn't start building technology. I didn't start like developing our code or, building our drones. It's like, how can we start making money in alignment with what we're working towards? And have I gotten out of alignment, over the years and at some parts? Yes, but then it's like,
this is something that will help you get out of alignment too. It's just another thing. I would be careful. I'm not trying to discourage you from doing it, but I wouldn't let something gets in the way. When I join the tribute band things, there's jazz going on, and then I get involved. It's still music, so it's good. But there's to think that they would both do this. No, what's happened is this. It was all the focus and interest toward jazz. Jazz is very demanding. You have a guy like me, especially because I didn't grow up listening to it all the time, and I don't come from a family that played it all the time, like a lot of guys do, who are fine players today. And I'm not trying to give excuses, but I'm just saying.
No, I do. Like again,
the more
you can do anything, you can't do everything.
The higher the goal and the more lofty and the harder it is to reach, the more focus and energy it's going to take. So it's just a warning I'm throwing out to you.
Yeah, and
you don't want to lose passion, man, because
right.
If you lose passion, then what used to be enjoyable or used to make you feel, it might not make you feel anymore, and that's one of the reasons why people I think quit. They stop doing things. It's not that they give up; they just lose passion for it.
And to me, like I'm only doing, or as much as possible, maximizing what I'm passionate about. Because even in the moments, like, fuck, this sucks, or like this one particular aspect of it sucks. Like again, it's not gonna do itself, right? You gotta show up regardless of. Man, I don't feel like I want to get up today because we had a really tough weekend, and this podcast ain't gonna produce itself, right? As one example, going back to the office and fixing up. Yeah.
And the vocal thing. If you want to be good, you'll have to do the same thing when you don't really feel like working on it. You're going to designate a certain piece of time, a chunk of time to work on it. For example, well, you might not be inspired, and that's another thing about artistic stuff. I find
pushing through.
if you're not inspired, it really is tough. If you're inspired, I can get into it and love it, but I got to be in the right mind frame. But it's just, it's harder when, okay, I got 2 hours now. Boom, I'm going to work on this song or whatever. Well, I don't feel like working on this song. I'd rather, but that's the time frame you're allowing. So if you're going to, if you just have to be, people that can do all that are really, they're rare, I find.
And that's, again, I may not, whether a good kind or not, we'll see. But no, I really, again, looking at the end in mind, if you've heard of that, like, what do you want out of life? Again, a lot of people, I don't think, spend enough, if any, time on that question, right? But to me, that's something that maybe too much time on. But I really think about what I want out of life and how can I get that out of life. And again, it really goes to creativity and productivity, there's aspects of the creativity and productivity within iVue, but there are also, and maybe there is overlap. And again, some of the software development that we've been doing for iVue Media to connect the local drone pilots, photographers, videographers to jobs, and they have like an equipment list that they have. So, hey, I have a Canon 77D camera, a Canon C200 camera. I have this lens for it. And so now we'll know that you can go be assigned to all of these jobs around you based off of that equipment that you have as one factor, right? Thinking about how we could very easily do that for live music events as well. That's still media production, right? Yeah. And how often is it where you have a live local band that, hey, what if I could also just hire a videographer? Hey, I need a guitar player to fill in, and you know what? Let me also hire a videographer to come out and record, my presentation or our performance, or the restaurant now. Hey, I want a band, and you know what? To help market it, let me also hire the videographer or videography team or whatever the case may be. But so we are breaking off like our media offerings into packages. So you could say, hey, I want like an event video. This is how long the event's going to be. This is how many cameras that you would want, or different angles. Like, hey, we have a corporate event that has, this keynote session, and then there might be these side breakout rooms, and we want, all of those recorded, right? And so it's giving the people the tools to where, like, you go to McDonald's, I want a hamburger. Well, what do you want on your hamburger? Some people will stare at you with like a deer in headlights. Well, what are my options? Oh, why would I want that, right? And how can we present those options in a way that, are kind of like fast food, that anyone that's not really experienced in media or video production can kind of get the sense of why they would want 2 videographers versus 1 videographer, why they would want 4K versus 1080p, or why they would want, audio recorded versus just, using some background, track, for like a highlight video or whatever the case may be, right? And what I'm getting at is figuring out, hey, there may be some overlap between, some of my personal music interests and where we're already building iVue Media, that they can, converge. Again, not there yet, but that's something that I have thought about for many years, and now starting to see more of it come together in the way that we've been building it out. So